You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the September 16th meeting of the Michigan City Urban Enterprise Association. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Directors meeting to order. I'll start off with the roll call. Nick?
Here.
Dakota?
Present.
Sylvia?
Present.
Bruce?
Here.
And Tristan, I'm here as well. First item is approval of minutes. The August 19 minutes. The June 17 minutes haven't been completed yet. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at the minutes?
Yes.
Motion to approve the minutes.
My second.
Amendment?
You have an amendment to the minutes?
Yes, my last name is spelled E-U-L-E-R. I've only seen that on the first page of the minutes for August 19th.
And let me make sure I heard that correctly. E-U-L-E-R?
Correct.
All right, well, sorry, I'll fix it.
No worries.
Sorry about that. Is there a second to the amendment?
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item on our agenda is the update from the Eden Committee / Grant Committee. You have any update?
Which one is that?
The Executive Director
Oh,
Committee.
yeah. I'm like, which one? I'm on too much. So we met as a committee. And as a committee, we felt that it was unnecessary for us to employ a full-time executive director, because by state statute, we are only required to meet 3 times out of the year due to the grant cycle. We meet more now only because we're trying to get a handle on all of the processes for the UEA, so that we are following the guidelines and compliance as new members, majority of us. So we felt that there's no need, and that we would most likely only need to utilize an executive assistant, because even though we had an executive interim, a lot of things went undone. We have a lot of granular issues that affects our foundation. Things weren't being answered properly, time wasn't taken to filter through certain things, and it impacted us negatively. However, we think that it'll be more efficient for us as officers that hold the roles, that we take responsibility for the roles that we are elected into, and if we do that, we only need administrative assistance. We have a secretary who is responsible for minutes. We have a financial treasurer who is responsible for the financing and the payouts. You have a president and a vice president who are ad hoc to any of our committees and things of that nature. And so if we follow what our bylaw states that each position requires, we only need an administrative assistant. So we wanted to bring that to the table. What do you guys think?
Just to add, you explained everything very well. Just to add to that, we did do a little background research on some of the other urban enterprise associations across Northwest Indiana, and they all seem to utilize an assistant. They don't have a full-time executive director per se, and they are doing a lot more business than we are. So we just felt that it was in the best interest of the Michigan City Urban Enterprise Association to kind of follow the same guidelines.
And just to add to what he said, based upon the job duties and responsibility, the executive director was given a lot of power that was unnecessary, and though certain processes that they were completing should have been done by those that were elected, because we were elected to fulfill those positions.
Anybody else?
I have no questions at this time.
Do we have a motion?
I would like to see it probably held off to the next meeting so we can have some internal dialogue and have some
So
time.
make a motion to table.
Until the next regular meeting.
Assistant position until the next meeting.
I would be comfortable with that.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Down to new business, Attorney Novak contract proposal. In your package, you see an engagement letter.
I can, even though this is not my meeting, I can tell you a little bit about myself and my firm. So, my name is Anthony Novak. I'm an attorney with Newby Lewis Kaminsky and Jones. We're a law firm in LaPorte, been around for a little over 100 years. We have 8 attorneys, 7 licensed, 1 that just passed the bar and will be licensed in next month. We do a wide range of things, one of which though is transactional or government municipality type work. So I will do kind of as needed work for various bodies. Our firm represents, I'm the lead counsel for like the LaPorte County Public Library. My partner Nick Otis is the lead attorney for the city of LaPorte. And historically I've done a little bit of work for this UEA on an as needed basis. And then the same thing with the LaPorte Urban Enterprise Association on an as needed basis. So I talked with Tristan, I talked with Sylvia, and she indicated that the board was interested in retaining our services. Different things were proposed, whether or not we would do kind of an as-needed thing or a every month sort of having me on retainer sort of thing. My suggestion and my preference, candidly, would be as needed so that you guys are strictly paying for whatever you're asking me to do, and then it would be at a discounted rate. So the normal rate of our firm, of our partners, is $350 an hour, but this would be discounted to $250 an hour. And then again, like I told Sylvia and Tristan, it's strictly as needed. So if like, you know, the meeting comes up in October and there's 2 issues after talking, like Dakota said, and you guys want to vet it out, you know, let me know. If something pops up at the meeting, let me know. And then sporadically, if it's at the meeting, you guys want to call me. Or even, hey, we're anticipating something coming up in November. Can you please make yourself available? I'll absolutely do my best to do it. And if I can't do it, I have another partner in the law and in my firm that could do it. So that's the proposal in front of you. I'm happy to kind of go through it. The engagement letter itself is relatively standard in the sense of it's saying that I represent you all on an as-needed basis. We would provide general corporate guidance. I would be the lead attorney at the discounted rate. We have an attachment of our standard billing practices, which I'm happy to answer questions on, but it generally says invoices are due monthly, any expenses would be added on there. We never upcharge for expenses, and in your guys' situation, I don't anticipate expenses. If you had me send out something by certified mail or publish something, like that's an expense, but generally other than that, there's no mileage, there's nothing like that. And it could be canceled at any time. So if you guys said, hey, we're gonna go elsewhere, we don't need you, you just simply let me know. And that's the extent of it. So I'm happy to answer any questions about myself or my firm or anything that we can do for you guys, but I'd be happy to help you.
I'll open up the floor for any questions to the attorney.
I volunteered at the end of the last meeting to sit on a committee for the attorney review, and so I haven't received any information until today. So again, I would be more comfortable if I had time to review it, and if I had any further questions, I could reach out to Anthony. And so motion to table until the next meeting, if that's okay.
Do you have a second? Looks like it dies for lack of a second. Anybody, you got anything?
I got a motion. I motion that we move forward with the contract as written from Anthony Novak.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to add that I thought Anthony did a good job of answering our questions, and I was comfortable with his, sort of his mannerisms and his knowledge and his approach taken in answering our questions.
And just for further discussion, we met as a committee. Because me and Tristan are elected president and vice president, we tend to be, ad hoc to all of the committees. And we met 3 times. And we also met with Mr. Novak to have a conversation about, just the work that he does and giving an idea of what he was helping us with before and kind of answering the questions, because most of the information that we have, we know that it was reviewed by him. So we felt comfortable, I felt comfortable with moving forward with him.
I just want to say it completely slipped my mind that you had volunteered for the committee, so I want to apologize to you for that. I know there were 3, and I guess it was the same collective of people on both committees, so it kind of slipped my mind when it came up for that, speaking with the attorney. I want to apologize for that. But if there's not any more discussion, I'll call for the vote.
And just to clarify, sorry, since this is on Zoom, technically any votes should be by roll call.
Roll call?
Yeah, I should have caught that earlier.
So, Bruce?
I vote in favor of the motion, which is, I understand it, to accept Anthony's proposed engagement letter.
Nick?
Aye.
Dakota?
Does it have to be, I'll vote nay?
Sylvia?
Aye. Was that a question?
It was already past questions, so.
No, he that was a question. He was
It was a
like,
question?
he have to
Does,
vote.
does it have to be unanimous, or
You can abstain.
I don't have a conflict of interest, I don't think abstention would be.
You could vote in favor, you can vote against, or you can abstain. That'd be the 3 options on the vote.
I'll vote nay.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Proposal passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy to help you guys.
No problem. And Mr. Novak, we would like to thank you for your time.
Yeah. You need anything else from me tonight?
Next on our is the bylaw revision.
So
If
maybe you
stand
do.
for that. Yeah.
Oh, I just was thanking him. I was gonna tell him to leave.
I was like, that's it.
That's what I was kind of like.
I was just thanking him. Sorry.
Well, if you go to the back of your board packet, you will have where it has red marking from our original bylaws, where you will see the revisions and amendments.
You want Nick to review it?
I don't have that packet. My packet doesn't have.
I might have left that. I apologize. I got the somewhere.
I don't have any service to get internet access either to my email.
Can you see it in yours?
I don't see red marks at all, but I
I
see
apologize. Our connection is at work.
My real
You have it?
phone.
If not, I got a paper copy right here for you.
I got it on my phone. So the bylaws committee met, and we were discussing the current bylaws, where they're at, and if there are any changes needed. If everybody wants to follow along, I will discuss the changes that we actually, with Mr. Novak being involved previously with the UEA. We just talked to him a little bit about this and kind of got his input on it, make sure that we were doing everything according to the law and state statute. So the first one that we made a change on is Article 3 under offices. Anything in red is the change. So this talks about the specific location set by the corporation's board of directors from time to time.
Yeah,
Next, under directors, we took out director and put assistant. I think we kind of discussed that already. And then after that, the state statute language that explains all the seats associated with the board was added to the bylaws, which we believe it should have been there from the get-go. Under state statute, it says that nobody on the board shall receive compensation, so we changed it to stipend to make that in compliance. We removed the removal of any director with any without cause by 2/3 vote. There's other language in the bylaws that already talks about how to remove somebody, so it was a conflict.
And to elaborate on that point too, that was something that I found in the state statute. So to his point about the appointed members, so state statute says specifically who appoints who. And then there's actually typically typically with an organization, either the directors or members can remove somebody for cause, but this state statute specifically says that only the appointing body can remove somebody. So if the mayor appointed somebody, but we got crossways with them, only the mayor could remove that person. So that's one of the main reasons for that change, just elaborate.
Once again, being in compliance with state statute, thank you. Next, under staff, professionals was added to that. And then under that was the executive assistant. And then once again, under that was more of the taking the word director out and changing it to assistant. And that would be the executive assistant to the board. Just cleaned up some of that language underneath there. And then added the, what is that, number 3. That whole section's added, sorry, my phone keeps shrinking. The executive assistant shall identify and recommend new business partners for the corporation, perform administrative duties on behalf of the board of directors, be the contact person for the new zone business enrollment, and shall facilitate and maintain business orders and building information, including purchasing needs of the corporation. And I believe this was in the previous description of that role. So this just cleans that up a little bit. Once again, remove director, added assistant. And then subsection 3, under that subsection, I, or 3, under 3, an accountant who shall advise the officers, directors, committees of the corporation in accounting matters, which obviously we've already looked at using accountants in the past, so we want to make sure that was added to the bylaws. Scrolling through, everything else pretty much stayed the same until we get down to Article 12, compliance with Indiana's open door law. We felt this was necessary to add to the bylaws and make sure that us and any future board members are complying with Indiana's open door law. So the biggest change really was taking out the executive director position and changing it with executive assistant. But for the most part, everything stays the same except for adding the language that's already in the state statute. So I don't know if you've had a chance to see the changes to the bylaws. It was in the email.
No, I did not.
Okay.
So just to kind of to piggyback off of him, and I won't go through everything verbatim, but when I talked to actually Sylvia and Bruce, one of the main objectives are we want to make sure we comply with state law, and we want to be as transparent as possible. So I originally had in the bylaws that we would just comply with the statute, but they said we want it to be spelled out. Can you spell it out specifically who needs to be appointed? So one suggestion I would have for you guys, and I know it's difficult getting bodies, is, the statute says that there should be 12 appointments. And I know some of them are non-voting, But, you know, to the extent some of these bodies maybe don't have anybody, whether it be the plan commission, the mayor, whomever, you should reach out because it's difficult to get quorums, as you guys know. So that was one of the main things, was flushing out exactly who could serve on the board. They talked about changing the phrase compensation to stipend, so we did that. We talked about the removal language. Staff and professionals, obviously we tweaked from assistant executive director to assistant, and then I just kind of changed that language throughout. Sylvia Bruce provided me some language about specifics on what they'd want to see about dealing with business partners, business enrollment, things like that. I just added that last sentence about you guys have the power to engage an accountant, just like you have the power to engage an attorney. You don't have to, but I just want to be clear that you have that ability. And then finally, the addition of Article 12 about compliance with Indiana's open door law. So one of the questions that was raised to me was, not questions, a statement, we need to comply with the open door law. And I said, I don't know if you do, because of the fact that you guys are technically a nonprofit. And open door law is generally public units, which is specifically defined. But literally while I was sitting on the phone, I typed Indiana Open Door Law, Urban Enterprise Association, and there was a public access opinion by Luke Britt, and he's the public access counselor who literally is like, I think he's an attorney, but you reach out and you say, I have a question about the open door law, here's the facts, what's the answer? And his response 15 years ago was, it's kind of a gray area, it depends what authority you guys are exercising. And when I explained that to Bruce and Sylvia, they said, we want to err on the side of transparency, so let's put it in there. So you have absolutely every ability to allow yourself to be governed by the open door law, so that's how you guys are going to be done. So that's the kind of crux of all the changes, which I'm happy to talk about.
Can I point out, Anthony, I'm sorry, can I talk like a lawyer for 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Point out 2 typos in Article 12. I really feel like a cheese that here. But where it says Indiana's open door law, it's just a typo in door. And then the next
The open door
line
law.
talks about taken openly, it's another typo. Yeah. Still very
So
fastidious.
that you don't need to be an attorney to realize those are typos. So I appreciate that. Sorry about those. I'll make those corrections.
I'll open up the floor for any discussion.
I just want to say, when we talk about the assistant or executive director, whatever title we're going to give this person, that person don't answer to the mayor of this city, don't answer to the city council. They should only have to answer to this board right here and nobody else. Because our last executive director was basically seemed to think that she was forced into going to a meeting with the mayor that she didn't want to have. That cannot happen. I've been all through the state statute, and Mr. Moreno, you can correct me. Where does it say that we answer to the mayor or the city council? We answer to the residents and the business of people of the UEZ zone. And that's the way it should be. For some reason, we get sidetracked because the mayor appoints people to the board, they feel like we obligated to answer to them and have backdoor meetings. And I'll get into that during another discussion, but I just want to make sure that the assistant or whatever we want to give that person a title, they don't have to meet with the mayor if they don't want to.
Have anything?
To add to that response, no, I mean, I don't disagree in the sense that an executive assistant would be engaged at the pleasure of the board. Now, I recognize that you guys need to be a community partner with these zone businesses. So I think with any relationship, it's important to have a strong one in the sake of transparency. So I guess my response would be, I completely hear you. You just have to make sure that how you respond and how you interact is appropriate, because, you know, you just gotta think about all those relationships going forward.
And I'm not saying not having a relationship with the cities is a bad thing. When we get into gray areas when we have the mayor office acting as a board member, that's wrong. That's wrong by state statute, that's wrong on a lot of levels. And we cannot have that happening. So if we're about transparency, I think that if we have anything we're discussing, any of our business, it should be done in the open and in the public anyway. So that way, we won't run into the problems and the comments that's being made and people being audio taped and stuff being discussed. And not only that, the assistant should not be allowed to be work for the city. They should be independent of the city. So they won't have to feel obligated, they won't have no conflict. So whoever we hire, we need to make sure that person is not part of the city. They work for us. Or they can have a second job, I don't care about that, but I don't think they should be working for the city.
But just to be transparent, us as a committee did not agree with that, and so we put it in, we took that out of the bylaws. You weren't here earlier. We feel it's important to realize that there's an employment shortage, and that people are not going to want to work for us for part-time as their, only job. And a lot of people, we kind of discussed it, aren't interested in taking up that short amount of money. So we need to have our options open for it because they work for the city, and like you said, they can have a second job. Because they work for the city doesn't mean that they can't work for us. I think that will put us in a discriminatory position. And I'll just have, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's why we have Mr. Novak here. You can't deselect a group of people from employment when we are a part of the Equal Employment Opportunity Act. That is a federal regulation, if I'm right or wrong. Can we do that? Can we say?
Well, I mean, without actually diving in and seeing everything, yes, you can't discriminate. I don't know if simply saying you couldn't engage somebody that had a job with the city would technically meet that level of discrimination. That isn't sex, race, things like that. But to your initial point, and this is not a attorney opinion, it's more of a board position, I would tend to agree with you that if you guys are trying to engage somebody part-time, you don't want to limit your pool. You want to be able to have the broadest pool possible. And then Rodney, I think to kind of satisfy Rodney's point, it's really just a matter of vetting that person out to see, do you think they can be independent? Do you think that they can be attentive? Do you think that they can do what you would want them to do? But I agree, if you're going to engage somebody part-time, this is still not a part-time job that you can do sloppily. You still want to do it well. So I would say cast as broad of a candidate pool as possible, and then just be more selective when you're choosing those candidates.
Okay, I can agree to that, but just one more statement to the fact. I am, just clarification, I am vice president of this board, right? But I'm a city employee. So it's okay for me to be on the board, but we can't have other city employees work for the board. I just don't agree, and this is my opinion. We are, as a board, we need to make these decisions collectively. It's not about exactly what I feel, but when we met as a committee, we agreed that was to come out. Because we don't have a lot of options out there. And city employees aren't making much, but they can have a full-time job and then have a part-time job. They'll be more reluctant. But like I said, it's not solely upon us even as a committee. It's solely on us as a board.
I want to clarify my statement. When our last executive director met with the mayor, a big emphasis was made on her working two jobs, two full-time jobs. She was scorned about it. All I'm saying to you is, I don't think it's wrong if you have to work two jobs, because I don't think this is a full-time job, personally, that what needs to be done. I just think that there are certain positions in the city where there will become a conflict of interest. I don't want to rehash no old stuff right now, but we had some problems in the past. This board has been doing things that was not right, and we got it out of that to this point right now. And then come to ask, you being on the board, I don't know. It was some questions that Mr. Pollock had, I had, even about the election. There was a lot of questions that we had, and I just think that whatever we do, it has to be a scope and it has to be an open for all people to come in and make a determination if they want to take the job or not. But the job need to be listed.
Yes.
That's all I'm asking for it to be. It seemed like a lot of things have already been predetermined by just the makeup of the board. It seemed like things have already been predetermined, and that's, I don't like the way that direction is headed. And I don't want to go back into the way it was. Thank you.
Any more discussion?
Just to add a little bit, I agree. I think ultimately we're gonna try to find the right person for the position, is the bottom line. And we're gonna do what's best for the UEA and the UEZ as a whole. Speaking of the questions, and we can address this after we're done, but to go back to what Rodney said about, the election and stuff with the board, I think ultimately, you're right. It doesn't require a full-time position. I think that may ease some people's minds about who's in that position, even if they do have another full-time job. So I think that's what we try to address. But like Mr. Novak said, we don't want to limit ourselves to the point to where we can't have the relationship with the city or another economic development body of the city.
I just want to weigh in quickly. I think that Nick did a good job of expressing my point of view. The only augment I want to make to what's been said already, and Anthony sort of alluded to this, to have a per se restriction, in my mind, invites some legal issues, the need to look at it, if that's justified, if that's appropriate, whether it's consistent with other parts of the bylaws. And I opt in favor of really how Nick's expressed it. We want to make a responsible decision about people's commitments to other employment and their time availability. But I think a per se restriction just invites some other questions. And the only other point, and I promise, Anthony, this is the last time I do this, Article 6D, if you could insert, you see where it says a director or officer may be and is authorized to be interested directly or indirectly, can just insert the word in, so that it means directly or indirectly in any contract, etc.
Please always call me out for my typos, because there shouldn't be any.
If you and I are writing a brief together, you'd have equal time pointed out my typos.
I appreciate that, no problem, I made that change.
And I just have a final statement. To your point, Rodney, we totally agree that it's a part-time position. It's not a full-time position, so that was one of the things that we addressed in the bylaws and we talked about it in the first statement when we talked about update from ED committee, and we did agree that it should be part-time, given people availability to do as they please during their full-time jobs. So I do agree with you there.
Any more discussion? I'll just end with, I don't see a problem if there was perhaps to be a city employee, somebody that worked for the city, to work for the UEA or work in conjunction with the UEA. I believe we all should be working towards the same common goal. And just to comment on, it was brought up about a meeting with the mayor that I was present in. I never once seen anybody get scolded or anything pertaining to them having two jobs, but everybody's up to their own perception or make their own story, however they may be. And that's just my comment on it. So, we'll move on.
So has everybody had a chance to review? Do we want to
Yeah, we got a motion.
make a motion?
Any motion?
I motion that we table the approval of the minutes until next meeting to give everybody the opportunity to
Second.
The minutes or the bylaws?
Bylaws.
to review the bylaws, and then come back with any necessary corrections or adjustments, and we'll discuss them and vote on them as a body.
If there's
Still stands.
a second, then again, you gotta do roll call. Sorry, missed it.
I got you. Bruce,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Dakota,
Aye.
Rodney,
Aye.
Sylvia.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. So that will be tabled to the next meeting. We'll move down to CLH, CPA proposal.
Can we let Mr. Miller leave?
You're free to go.
All right,
Thank you for your help.
see you guys.
Thank you.
Yes,
Aye, Anthony.
see you, Bruce. Thanks a lot, everyone.
No problem. Thank you.
See you guys.
Yeah, take care.
Just act like I'm not here.
So the CLH proposal, you should see an email to begin with that starts off before it gets down to what the proposal for the billing would be. Upon the termination of the prior interim executive director, it was discovered in the emails that the last contract that was voted on and approved by the board was not able to be acted on due to some obligations on our end not being fulfilled. The tax return hasn't been prepared. There's been a tax warrant sent to the UA for payment. And the bank has not been reconciled via QuickBooks nor our financial software system. So they propose tax preparation services, invoicing, full accounting services quarterly. You'll see in your packet the quotes that they have given us for the work as such. And you'll see the email with the summation of what the conversation entailed and how we got there.
How many proposals do we have?
We currently have this one. We were waiting on one back from Applegate that didn't come in.
Applegate is working on a proposal for us as well. I just didn't get in time for the meeting.
I'll move the table to next meeting and hopefully we have the proposals been publicly announced that we're looking for somebody. I'll move the table into next meeting.
Second.
Roll call. Bruce,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Dakota,
Aye.
Rodney,
Aye.
Sylvia.
Hi.
I vote aye as well.
I do have a question on the tax warrants. I did reach out to Sheriff Heeg's office. He put me in contact with Connie Trojanowski in their civil office. I talked to her. She said that she couldn't give me a whole lot of details on the tax warrants. She said that information would have to come from the Department of Revenue, Indiana Department of Revenue. She did, however, say that they were withholding taxes that were not paid. So that tells me it was probably the payroll from the executive director's position. And it was a tax warrant for 6 months from the time frame of January 2023 through June of 2023. And right now, I believe we're at about $400 per month. And it started out at about half of that amount of the taxes that were owed. And then by the time all the fees are added for the late fees, the sheriff's fee, the clerk's fee, I don't even remember all the fees she told me. And then there's also a 2 cent per day interest rate that goes on to that. The longer we take to pay those off, the higher it's going to be. So I think regardless at this point, we need to make a decision on paying those tax warrants. I'm not sure where we sit monetarily right now because I haven't had an update on the funds, but I see if we have enough funds in the account, I think we need to get those tax warrants settled.
And I'll confer with that. I talked to the Indiana Department of Revenue. It is for failed to file taxes. She did not file taxes for this position, which was identified as a full-time salary. So the issue is when they didn't reconcile the books, she wasn't given W-2 forms, so it wasn't reported to the state that, she was receiving funds for us for a salary. So that's basically how it went, and it will consistently go up. It will get penalized, and it will impact us basically really soon when our new grant cycle starts.
I just want to add to what's been said, that to the extent that we decide to pay it, I think we want to coordinate that through either Anthony or an accountant, just to make sure that if we send a payment, we are considered to be paid in full by the taxing bodies, because all too often, taxing bodies will lead you, believe you paid it in full, and suddenly you get a notice with more interest added to it. And so we want to make sure, to use a metaphor, that if we send a check, we clear the decks.
I agree.
Can you give me those dates again, for those tax?
Yeah, it was January of 2023 through June of 2023, so 6 months. January, February, March, April, May, and June, all of 2023. And we have copies of the tax warrants if you'd like to see them.
Oh, no, I don't want to see the tax warrants. I'm just,
We found them in the PO box.
Yeah.
I'm just, I don't know if we had her in on that day. I don't know if that she was the
Okay.
person. I don't want, people like to throw names out. I don't know if she was our executive director at the time. Because there was a moment there where we terminated another person and it got moved around, and it wasn't agreed on to pay her a salary. So she didn't have a salary with us. She was getting paid, for our hourly rate. The contract never ended up getting done, so.
Point taken.
Yeah, that's all I want to just say. I just don't know. I ain't gonna throw no names out, but I don't think she was our executive director at that time.
Just to clarify, she was paying herself a salary position based upon our QuickBooks.
She was paying herself something that the board prior to you guys coming here agreed to do. But it wasn't for a set salary.
We understand that.
Yeah.
We understand that. We understand that. However, when we go back and we talk to CPA and all of them, she was paying herself as a salaried employee on a Friday, on a Monday, on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday. So, and she was paying herself a salary wage.
And again, I just don't like the way it's being terminated. Did she do something wrong? Because she did, I think we need to report it and then go after the fees that she took, that if she took something or did something wrong, we should go after her and get the fees back, if that be the case. I don't know if she did anything wrong. I'm just stating that I don't like to leave, it's easy to say stuff about people and not understanding it comes off as if she did something wrong. I don't know if she did something wrong or not.
Well, I'll correct. I'll address it. I'll address it. We aren't per se saying she did anything wrong, because we weren't here. We didn't exist to know what happened before, but 3-4 months ago. So we can only go by these email chains. We can only go by the emails from within there, and we're just basing our thought process and what we talked to the Indiana Revenue and the Sheriff's Department about. So we're just giving information that was given to us. No one's trying to, I'm not per se trying, because I'm the one that stated it, not trying to incriminate anyone. However, the facts are the facts, and the fact is that's how it was authorized through the payment system.
And I think that proves your point that you made earlier, that the elected officers of the board, depending on what position they're in, need to do the job requirements of that position, and that should have been something back then that I think the treasurer should have caught at that time.
Yes.
Any more discussion?
How do we want to approach these taxes is the question. Bruce, I think you had somewhat of a motion.
I'll make a motion that we first secure the services of an accountant or CPA, and then coordinate the retirement of this debt through the accountant or CPA, again, with the idea that if we send a check, we want to make sure that we retire the debt.
Do I have a second?
How much are we paying?
Total, I'm not positive, Do we,
Payments are being added every,
2 cents a day
okay.
per tax warrant, so
Okay.
so you're looking at, 12 cents a day that we're paying on interest.
Because it originally started at like $207
Yeah.
on the
The
initial
taxes originally owed were about half of where they're at right now.
and it was sent to the PO box. I think it was like 3 months ago. That's when it was initially sent.
And,
I would
You know-
move, I would entertain your motion if we add that we go ahead and approve the payment of the tax warrants pending our advice from our attorney. We need to just go ahead and get it done.
I agree.
I think
So,
that's something that the attorney can handle.
yes,
Yes.
I think that's just something that can be done tomorrow, if we have the funds necessary to pay.
I'm fine for that to be in motion. That's fine, sure.
Can you restate it?
So I suggest that we approve the payment of the outstanding taxes as they are reported to us, with the condition that I fully expect that the taxing bodies will request a higher figure as a payoff, but that we don't actually physically remit payment until we coordinate it through our attorney.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion? Call for the roll. Bruce,
I
Nick,
Aye.
Dakota,
Aye.
Sylvia,
Aye.
Rodney.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Motion passes. We'll go down next to the insurance contract.
Doesn't look like I'm blaming. All right, so, as a, nonprofit, we are required to, have some form of insurance for us all, right? To protect us in case, lawsuits come. But we have an issue with our insurance. So we are going to start with, if you look at the form, I'll pass them around. Up here, give me that one, and you just pass that one, and I'll give it Rodney one. Here you go. You all have these in your email. This is the first policy. And I make a recommendation that we, cancel this policy. I'll explain why. Now, this policy covers, a property that we have been paying for, since 2022, that we are not in. 601 Franklin. Do you recall being at that address?
My question was, I was gonna ask you, why do we have insurance when we only have a building? We're not an association, we just board.
Yep.
There's nothing for it. I don't know, again, I know the person that was our executive director, but maybe that's something that they can answer. I'm not gonna.
Well, but it's no need to answer as a board. This is irrelevant. We've been paying it for years. $1,700. I think that we should cancel it. However, we have to make a decision as a body. So I
move to cancel.
I second.
I'll call for the vote. Bruce,
Sorry, is this, because I didn't really get a chance to pay attention carefully to the insurance policy. Are we discussing a property insurance policy?
Yeah, so this first policy is commercial property, general liability coverage. This is for auto coverage. We're covering a car. I ain't drove. This is for commercial auto coverage parts, data defender coverage, network defender coverage. A lot of coverages that we don't even utilize, that's not necessary for us as a board.
I got a
I
question.
appreciate that. So listening test on my part. At the moment, we're not discussing cancellation of the D&O policy.
We haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, thanks.
What is terrorism coverage?
So I asked that same thing because it was interesting. So it's basically if we get accused of
Terrorism?
yeah.
Yeah, I heard of that before, but the question is, how did you find out we had insurance?
As of what is today, September? This is September. August 12th, the day that we got the all of the information is 12/13. It was paid that day to renew, and so we went through because we were looking for applications, making sure that
Was that in the box? Excuse me, I'm sorry. This might make it short. Was that in the box of stuff that Gabby gave us?
It was on the laptop.
It was our email, our UEA's email. They submitted. They sent us a receipt for $1,700.
I know this is the insurance for the city. Is there any way somebody could have just called and asked who opened this account, who opened this insurance up? And somebody's signature got to be on it.
It is. So these are the documentations that they gave.
You don't have to say the name. If it's there, it's just there.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
but I don't got a problem with saying names.
No, don't say the name. We don't have to say names.
Oh, okay.
If you want to, that's all you do. I'm just.
But
It's crazy.
this policy has been active. It was renewed recently. That was the concern for me. That was what caused the red flag. We were approved for insurance first. Me and Tristan overlooked it because we knew that we had to have some form of an insurance policy for us as a board. But we opened it and then we start seeing that, and we contacted General Insurance, and they told us that it was for 601 Franklin Street.
The vehicle, does it say what vehicle it is? What kind of vehicle it is?
Non-motorized vehicle. So I guess if you're in your vehicle, we looked at that too. It was no specific vehicle with a VIN number. It was for I'm guessing if we're working on something UEA, and we get into a car accident, then it will cover us. But that's as far as that coverage goes. And it will cover parts and excessive liability and stuff like that.
So we had a motion in a second. We already voted.
No, the floor was open for more discussion.
Yeah, Bruce had wanted to make sure that this was the correct
That's where we were at.
policy, so that was it.
Any more discussion? I call for the vote. Bruce.
If the vote is that we cancel this coverage, I vote aye.
Nick. All right. Dakota.
Aye.
Sylvia, I'm
New
sorry.
person. Aye.
Rodney.
Aye.
I vote aye as well.
Okay, the second one is not really a necessary motion at the time, but if we were going to be bringing up the insurance, I do want to inform everyone that there is a nonprofit professional liability insurance policy that we have. This is really not for anything that we can vote on. This is just me being transparent and letting everybody know that if you're a part of this board, you're covered to a certain extent. I sent the coverage policies to you all. We're not required to renew until the end of the year. So then we can bring it back then. But I just wanted to make sure that we all understood that we do have some sort of coverage, and it's important for us to feel comfortable in these positions when we're making decisions for the public, and they can turn and feel how they want or whatever the case may be, just so you all understand that we have that coverage. And we're in line with state statute to have some sort of liability coverage. And a very good one, it is, I think it's $955 for the board. It started 12/11/23 and it'll end on 12/11/24. So
Who signed? There's a signature. Who started that policy?
it looked like it was just continued.
And it started when?
This one started 12/11/23. So it looks like it was on a recurring basis.
Okay.
But that's all I needed to share with you guys as far as insurance. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda was the cell phone contract. Currently, the UA phone is through an app through Verizon, which was attached to the prior executive director's phone, and the phone number is unable to be transferred, and the app password is unable to be given due to it was linked to a personal email that the person no longer has access to. So Verizon has an option where we can obtain and keep the current number that we have, but have to be transported onto its own phone, which they said would have to come in and have done. So I'm gonna bring to the board's attention because the phone bill is due on Friday, and right now the phone is unable to be accessed.
Can't forward calls or nothing else.
You have to have the password to log into the app, and she's unable to get to the password due to her old personal email account.
Do we owe any money on this account right now? Outside of,
No, it's recurring at $21 a month. That's it.
I move that we don't use it and we just start a new account for a phone. We have to have one, so.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any more discussion?
Do we want to get quotes and bring it back, or do you think that?
I think everything we have, being non-for-profit, I think we need to get quotes. But the cheapest one, just to answer the phone for right now, we don't need all that other stuff to go along with it, so.
So with that being said, do we need to, because our grant cycle is about to end, and then we have another meeting. So we need to vote now on whether or not we should move forward now to get the phone or bring back quotes and then get the phone. That is the issue, because if we go get quotes, we gotta bring it back to the board and we gotta vote as a collective.
I guess the only thing I would say on it is the phone number is through Verizon Wireless. So we can say we can go out and get a cheap, we're going to be changing the whole phone number in the middle of the grant cycle that people have been using to reach the UEA. So the smarter option to me would be to keep going through Verizon to obtain the same number that's currently being used for the UEA.
When do our grant cycle end? Is
October 31st.
Yeah.
So I agree, I mean, the grant cycle's still open, we don't need to change phone numbers right now.
So we just leave it as it is for,
My only concern is most of the time with cell phones, you have to enter into a contract. So,
That's why.
so I really don't have an answer for this other than we have to get a phone.
I'm confused because she said something, y'all keep saying something about an app. She told me she had something on an app.
The phone, the current phone for the UEA is through an app called First Talk through Verizon, which you have to be a current user of the program, which the executive director was, and she just downloaded the app and paid an additional $21 a month for the phone to be operable for use. And everything's obtained through one phone, just the app. The call comes through an app. I downloaded that, but the problem now is you're unable to re-download. I got a new phone, you're unable to re-download to the app because the verification code is sent to the email that set up the account. The email that was sent to that was set up the account, the prior executive director no longer had access to. She was unable to give me the new access code to log back into the app. So now that's where the issue that fell into
I think to prevent this from happening in the future, we just get a phone for the UEA and we maintain the same phone number that we have.
So we pay Verizon the $21 for the next 2 months we have this per month. Is it $20 a month?
It's like $21.63 a month for the app. The price will increase because the only way you can keep the number is you have to port the number over to a new phone with them to keep the same number that they have. Is how they said.
We gotta buy a phone from them?
That's what they proposed.
Them or somebody, because I'm pretty sure that there
We
is.
can't put the app on one of our own phones and.
That's what I'm saying. You can download the app on your phone now, but the problem is the verification code.
Right.
She's unable to give it to
Nobody
you
can log in.
because she doesn't have the access to her personal email anymore. That's where the holdup came in.
It's a conundrum.
I would see if there's any way we can get a month-to-month basis on the phone for now so that we can maybe look into getting a couple different quotes, for a contract. But if that's not the case, I don't think we have an option.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. So basically, you know, what I'm gathering, and then you correct me if I'm wrong, Tristan. The phone is connected to her, we can't get access because of the verification, right? And the only way that we can keep the number that we need to move forward with our grant cycle is to purchase a phone from them to import that number to,
Yes,
and a contract.
that's how Verizon presented it to me.
I'm gonna just move that we get a new one, and then we contact the IT person and have them just, say, from all our grants we just get it online, here's another number you can contact us at. Cause it's just, at some point, we gotta do it anyway, so why not just get it over with now?
So do we think that it would be sufficient to see how much the Verizon phone will cost to keep the number?
How soon can you find that information out?
I can make it to Verizon tomorrow. I think they might be closed by the time this meeting's over.
Because if it's cheaper just to, you know, transfer it over to another phone, or even if it's equal to the amount it will cost to get a new phone, it'll be more sufficient for us to keep the number. But if it's more expensive, then
I mean, what I may think may be the best solution. I mean, we don't have to buy into a contract phone with them. We can purchase the phone outright and have the number transferred over. The phone will be the property of the UEA as opposed to signing to a contract. That way you're just paying them monthly, $35 to $50 a month, however deemed possible, as opposed to locking into a phone contract
Right.
and paying. I mean, I don't see a point in having an iPhone 16 where you just need to be able to have a phone to be able to obtain to keep the function.
yes.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think that, prevents this from happening in the future. If we do have turnover, we just get the phone back and we don't have to try to find somebody's email,
Yes.
personal email to get a confirmation code from.
Well, I move to authorize the chair to make the best decision on behalf of the board as far as that goes. I hope that you get the cheapest phone possible. You buy the cheapest phone they have in there, and then we get access to our number, then we own the number now, and we can do what we want to do with the number. If that's what we're doing, I just authorize you to go ahead and make the decision.
A second. Okay. You got it.
Keep coming back and forth.
I'll call for the vote. Bruce,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Dakota,
Aye.
Sylvia, Rodney.
All right.
I vote aye as well. We'll go down to the Sylvia White Residential Grant.
Well, since Rodney volunteered me to review all of the applications. Sylvia White, I'm going to give you the review of the application, and then I'll give you my recommendation, and then you all are allotted to vote on it. So Sylvia White, she lives at 123 Scottfield. She is located in the UEZ that has been verified. She is on Social Security, so she makes the lowest wage within our criteria. So she is in 125% of poverty rate. She submitted this application 3 months ago. However, the information was a little outdated, so I encouraged her to redo it. I have all of the documentation that she provided that's in our checklist. However, she only acquired one quote, so my recommendation is that we table her until the next meeting to give her an opportunity to get the second quote.
I move that we approve it. It's too hard to get quotes. People play games. She has everything in order. I move to approve. Been down this road too many times.
Is there a second to the motion to approve?
Second?
Yeah. All right.
Now that we have a second, open up the floor for discussion.
I may be missing something important. I mean, this pulls at my sort of sensibilities that, come on, let's give this woman a break, but do we have a clear sense of why we're not requesting the second quote, I just don't want us to get stuck up where we've got a precedent in place and in a later circumstance, we're not comfortable with what criteria we applied.
I can answer that. For me, this is for me, not for everybody here. We've been down this road before. Certain people they take forever to give people their quotes. They try to make people accept their quote, or they won't give them a written quote. No matter what, it's a set price we gotta give her that she's entitled to anyway. And if she has the estimate there and she's gonna get the work done, that's it. I don't see why we should hold it up.
And Rodney, I'm inclined to give it to her. I just don't want us to get stuck later on where we feel like we've got uncertain criteria. That's the only point I'm making.
And I recommend that we table it more so because we have a application process that everybody sees. This is an open meeting and everybody can hear that now they don't have to put forth the effort to acquire the 2 quotes. If our application states that we need to follow it. If not, then we need to amend and revise and adjust the application. We can't just stand here and say that we're going to take that requirement out. I understand it has been historically, but historically then the application should have been changed when the consistency of individuals not being able to acquire quotes took place.
Is there something in writing or something that she stated to you that she did not try to go get a second quote or a third quote?
She told me that she will have the quote to me, the second quote, to be tomorrow morning. Because he was supposed to come at 12. He informed her that he couldn't come and that he may have to reschedule her again, but he would, and I clearly understand exactly what you're saying. We have saw this, you have, being, historically on this board, I understand you saw that. But if that was a consistent, then when the application was reviewed and updated, that should have been addressed then. We can't on the fly not make them follow these regulations when everybody before them, even the next person we're about to talk to, we continued them for this
Same reason.
same reason. We can't now change that regulation. We need to, as a collective, decide that we do not want to move forward with requiring 2 quotes or get some verification that I'm email. I'm unable to, they'll send you an email back, or you can have them send you an email stating, hey, I'm unable to give you a quote at this time. I'm backed up. I'm unable. If that's the case, then that's something that we should put in our application. But currently, our application requires in the 4 requirements that they have these quotes.
I stand with my motion.
Any more discussion?
I'm in agreement with Bruce, and we can't set precedent where we're not following our own guidelines, in my opinion.
Well, all I want to say is I'm in agreement. I kind of see sides of both. I kind of agree with both sides on this, but I guess I really wish we had a motion where we approve it contingent on her getting a second quote to us, as opposed to having her wait another 30 days until the next meeting.
I will amend my motion. I will amend my motion to add that language. If the second quote come in, because no matter what, she get 50 quotes, we only can give her a set amount. I believe that this person, I don't know who she is, but I think that if she said she's gonna give it to you, there's a reason why she hasn't given it to you. I don't know, but I'm standing there with that amendment to my motion.
I have a question on that amendment then. What is the work and what is the amount of the quote?
She needs a roof. It got damaged during a hail and windstorm. She has consistent leaking and things of that nature. The estimated cost for the roof that she has currently is $9,257. She is requesting the maximum amount of $9,257, excuse me. And she's requesting the maximum amount of $7,500.
I thought that was,
That's for the business.
I'm sorry, she's requesting, my fault. I'm looking at Mr.
That's okay.
Platinum Design. She's requesting $10,000 to cover the $9,000, but I would just, if we go with the quote, however you guys vote, I would vote that we go with the $9,275.
The max is 5,000, and I hope that somebody advised her that all we can approve is 5,000.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, that's,
But I also informed her, just for transparency and clarification, that we will review it today. However, she may have the potential that she will be moved to the next meeting as long as she get all her documents to me within a allotted amount of time. And she didn't have a conflict, but it's up to you all.
I left my motion on the table with the language that if pending the second estimate.
Is there a second?
I'm sorry, I'll second the motion. Rodney has persuaded me.
I'll call for the vote. Bruce,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Dakota,
Aye.
Rodney,
Aye.
Sylvia.
I'm gonna abstain from this vote.
I'm gonna vote aye, so the amended motion passes with the approval of Sylvia White's residential grant pursuant to she verifies with a second quote. And we'll move down to old business, Platinum Design Business Grant.
So I have reviewed Platinum Design. Platinum Design, as you know, was submitted to us a while back, and it was tabled. So this is because they didn't have the quotes. So we have both quotes. Platinum Design does qualify. They are in the zone. They're requesting personally for the maximum amount, and the estimated cost of the work is said to be, they put 10,000. Yeah, that's what they want. And then the quotes. One is for $2,948. Then they have storefront windows alterations, and storefront main entrance. So one price is $15,100. Base price for the second portion of the project is $3,900. I recommend that we approve them for the $7,500 amount.
Point of order. This grant has already been approved. And we all voted on that grant. And I don't know why we're revisiting this. I think somebody asked them to go out because it was 3 months old. But we was waiting a long time for another board member to get here. And it was already voted on. So if we have to re-vote, I'll just go ahead and make a motion, we grant it again.
Was he paid out? When was it?
Well, he wasn't paid out. He received a second quote came in and was based on that second quote coming in. They came in, I don't think we was unable to read it at the last meeting because we got it too late. And then we had our executive director resigned on us, so.
I mean, it may have slipped through here. I mean, I don't take your word, I don't really remember, but I mean, if it's, you say, Commissioner.
I'm going to move the grant again.
What were you gonna say?
I'm saying, I was just asking, what was your recommendation? Your recommendation was to approve?
Yeah, my recommendation was to approve. All I know is it was folded up, it was in our mailbox, and I reviewed it like I was requested to do.
You got a motion, you said, motion to approve?
Yep.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion?
If we can, look at things, if we can have an opportunity, everyone, when you get the petitions, look at them, and we could, I would be able to catch this earlier today when it came out.
I want to be the executive director. No, just go ahead, I'm good. I was just, had a thought on my mind.
I call for the vote. Bruce,
Aye.
Nick,
All right.
Dakota,
Aye.
Rodney,
Aye.
Sylvia.
Huh?
I vote aye as well. We move down, I'm sorry, we move down, Nick.
Sorry, Tristan, I have to get off for a class. I deliberately wanted to make sure that I was on while we voted on the grants. I think it's just public comment now, so it doesn't disrupt the meeting if I back out, does it?
Now you good to go.
All right, see you guys.
Have a good night.
See you, Bruce.
Oh no, but the floor for public comment?
I'm sorry?
My name is Doug Stevens.
I'm sorry, 1 second. I was talking to the public. I'm sorry, Bruce. You good to go.
All right, see you.
See you later.
My name is Doug Stevens. I'm from Uptown Limited Auto Sales. You guys got a great thing going here. Unbelievable. You approved us for a grant. The only thing I would say as a business person, I've ran this business for 35 years. We knew of nothing of any grants in 35 years that was available for any businesses in our area, which, I know Rodney, and he brought that to our attention, which is dynamite. I'm here on behalf of Uptown because we were approved for our grant. There was a check that was cut for this. We've had a phone call from, I don't know the individual, it was a male that called our business, said the check was cut, he had the check in our hand, and they were gonna deliver it to us at Uptown Limited Auto Sales. That check never came to us, and that's been 3 weeks ago. I'm here to ask the board to cut us another check. We did everything we were supposed to do, we brought in all of our grants, we were approved, Sue approved everything as the inspector. I'm here to get our money. That's what I'm here for.
Our check process requires 2 signatures, and the
Okay.
treasurer is not present here today.
That's cool.
He wasn't present to sign the check. He's been busy.
That's
But
cool.
he's supposed to be back in time. Supposed to get with him this week. So I'll be
Okay.
able to sign it. I can reach out to the shop, bring it over to
Absolutely.
whichever's
Absolutely.
easiest for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, that'd be fine. So, but I want to go on behalf, you guys got a great thing going. But I think it'd be a really good thing. If I didn't know Rodney, I wouldn't know anything about money that's available for this businesses. And, to put a letter out, nobody gets news dispatch anymore. Ain't nobody reading the news dispatch. Ain't nobody getting online to read the news dispatch and paying for it. As a board, maybe you guys can get a monthly letter or every 6 months. Put a letter out to these businesses and tell them there's money available for them. Because you're gonna get these businesses that are gonna move somewhere else eventually. They can't afford those improvements, so that's all I have to say with it, but I think it's a great organization you guys got going on, and, commend you guys for being on the board. I tried to get on the board, but I live in Trail Creek, so I couldn't get on the board, so that's another thing you gotta visit also, and I don't know how that could be amended, but I've lived in Trail Creek for 50-some odd years. I've worked in Michigan City for 38, and if you're a worker that works in behalf of the city, why can't anybody out of Trail Creek get on a board that's in the city? And that's something I think that, I don't know if that's gotta be processed through your bylaws or whatever the case is, but I would have been happy to serve on this board, so. That's all I have to say, so.
Thank you. Thank you for
You're
coming in.
welcome, thank you.
Mr. Stevens, I just want to say I appreciate you coming in,
Yes, sir.
bringing that to our attention. Most of us are new on the board.
Right on.
So we are trying to make some of those changes. We've had those discussions. So we agree with you 100%. The word has not been getting out, and hopefully we're going to be able to change that.
Yeah, it's good to hear,
Yeah.
so. I mean, we're there for long haul, we've been there since 1998, we're not going anywhere, so.
We appreciate
Yeah.
that. As a city, we appreciate that.
All right, so, I mean, as far as the check goes, whatever. I mean, Rodney knows how to get a hold of me, or somebody can call the car out or whatever, we can pick it up, or somebody wants to drop it by, that'd be great.
Yeah, I got your number from.
Awesome. Okay, have a great night.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, Rod.
Yeah, I just want to put on record, I didn't buy no car from him. I just know all these people, and I just told them there's money available, because our last executive director, not Gabby, our public relations, or whatever, it wasn't there.
Well, and I appreciate you getting the word out, because I think as board members, that is something that we should do.
We should be doing. It's in our
Any more public comments? Following that, public comment is closed. I open it up for director comments. Anybody want to go?
Yeah, I just want to say that I hope in the future that our executive director or whoever going to be here, we just answer to the people that live here and the business that's in the UPZ. I'm not going to point fingers, but I did hear the recorded conversation to the point where I told Gabby I didn't want to hear it no more. I thank her for her time that she served on this board, and now it's time for us to move on. And we all show all this interest in tax warrants and all of that. It's time to have the workshop. The mayor received documents pursuant to the state statute, documents that shouldn't have been given out, but it was given out because I believe in transparency 100%. I want to know where the $3 million went to. And it's just, I'm not gonna name names, but the mayor was here. She said she also has grant money for us once she has her people on the board. Her people's on the board now. We would love to see that grant money get started so y'all can start the workforce development program that you guys are dreaming about and get done. I'm ready to see that happen. But more importantly, I want to know where that $3 million went to. She gave us her word when she was here. The mayor gave us her word. Now, I'm not letting her off the hook. I want to know what avenue she's going to choose to investigate, call the state police, call the FBI. I do know there was an agency already contacted by somebody else, but I want to see the mayor, I want to hold the mayor's feet to the fire. It was clear, one bank transfer. We had right under $3 million, and one transfer went to $10,000. There's a problem. I don't care how we look at it, how we cut it. They seem like the same thing that happened in Gary. And same problems with the elected officials want to get involved with the UEZ in the wrong way. And that's why East Chicago ventured off. They're not ran by the city. They don't have nothing to do with the city. They just get the tax dollars there. We're losing focus on what we need to do here. Whoever appoints you on these boards, that's just their appointment. They appointed you, and I hope that you wouldn't let them down. When Mayor Nelson was on the city council, she made sure that she put me on this board. One of the things she always emphasized to me, Rodney, whatever I vote you put you on, I want you to find out the wrongs, clean it up, and make sure that we change things in the bylaws to make sure that we don't never go back to the way it was. And that's the way I always operated. And I'm sorry for being late, but it'll be once a month where I have that problem when I gotta go get my son. He goes to school in Gary, so thank you for the time.
Sorry about that.
I'm reaching for my phone.
Anybody else? Anybody else got any comments?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
All right.